What do you think about the Snow White controversy?
Yeah, no, I think it's bullshit. Nothing is what the title says.
It's just
100%.
Snow White now. It's not Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. It's just Snow White.
But it's not even Snow White, is it? Because it's like she's not Snow White. She's not Snow White, is
See,
she?
that doesn't bother me as much as the fact that they just got rid of a load of jobs. You know, Peter Dinklage came out and said, "Oh, it's pathetic that they're making another dwarf movie. It's disgusting typecasting dwarves." Basically, even though all of his roles have been dwarf roles, and he's cashed all those checks, and he's had no problem with it. Now he's a
Yeah,
fucking multimillionaire. The future they're trying to go for is a future where dwarves are playing roles where their dwarfism isn't a factor, right? Their idea is that, okay, well, dwarves shouldn't be playing dwarf characters, which already doesn't vibe with the progressive thing, because the progressive thing is get a gay guy to play a gay guy, get a disabled guy to play a disabled guy, right? So now they're like, you don't have a dwarf playing dwarf. I guess the future they want to get to is dwarves are all playing normal people, but it's not like Disney have made any movies like that. So all Disney have done is just got rid of all the dwarf roles.
yeah. Did you ever hear about kind of like there was a dwarf wrestling league that had a tour in the UK, and a mother of a kid that had dwarfism and some other campaigners kind of did a big campaign about kind of how this was offensive and rah rah rah, got it cancelled from the event centre that was going to hold it, and a lot of the other event centres kind of followed suit. Yeah, the wrestling league, the guys that were doing it, they were being interviewed on the news, and they were like, this is really bad because we all love wrestling. Everybody in the wrestling league loves wrestling. We are kind of mostly owned by other people that have got dwarfism. And the problem is we can't get jobs in other wrestling leagues unless we are a gimmick. And there'll be only one of us in the league. Whereas we filmed this league with other people that had dwarfism because we weren't getting a looking in the business. And now they've cancelled our only opportunity to perform professional wrestling. And I was like, yeah, that's really fucking true. Like, this mum, like, her son would be like, I want to be a professional wrestler. And she'll be like, well, there was a professional wrestling league for people with dwarfism, but I got that cancelled when you were 7.
Because I thought it was offensive for people to be looking at. Because look, I guess the world needs to change around dwarves, but have you seen the photo of what these 7 dwarves look like now? It's like 8 normal people. Because I was thinking, okay, where's this future where dwarves aren't playing dwarves? And I think that they're trying to do it in this, because there's 8 dwarves now, but only one of them's a dwarf. So I think the idea is that it's 8 normal people, and the dwarf is a normal person. They're not even a dwarf. I think it's a dwarf not playing a dwarf.
Yeah, no, it's really bad.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck Disney's doing with that. I mean, it's this classic example of like a lack of true principles catching up with you. What's their principle? Their guiding principle is diversity, equity, and inclusion, which means have people that you don't normally see and be more inclusive. That's not a good principle, because it inherently ends up excluding people, ends up being exclusive. Oh, there's too many of this in something, whether it's white men or dwarves, right? It's now a problem. You can't have dwarves in something unless they're not playing dwarves. Okay, well,
that is a point, isn't it? It's kind of like, I bet actors with dwarfism were kind of like really excited when it was announced. To be like, there's going to be 7 roles for dwarves in this.
It's more than 7 roles. It's all the. I heard someone else say that it's the stunt actors as well. It's the stunt.
Oh yeah.
So there'll be dwarf stuntmen, dwarf, all this stuff.
So about kind of like 3 people per role, right?
Yeah, they got rid of 21 dwarf jobs.
Yeah. In the name of progress.
In the name of progress, yeah. So what's Disney? Disney has to make a movie now with a dwarf lead where their dwarfism isn't a factor in the story. It's going to be like a Bechdel test for dwarfism. It's going to be like, is there a dwarf in a movie and his dwarfism isn't a factor? It doesn't pass the Bechdel test of dwarfism.
And the other problem is that role is 100% going to Peter Dinklage, because he's already kind of like said that he's not doing any more dwarfism roles. And that's his kind of like, I want to be taken as a like serious actor, not a gimmick actor.
Right.
I think I've kind of earned my dues as an actor with dwarfism, and now I want to be taken more seriously.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, I think you have to pay your dwarf dues, don't you? I mean, it's not like a gay person, right? Where they can play a straight person. It's a dwarf can only play a dwarf.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, because there's a Willy Wonka movie coming out and Hugh Grant is playing the Oompa Loompas. Have you heard this?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, they're using CG to make him an Oompa Loompa, so I guess they could de-dwarf a dwarf using CG. I mean, that's what
he was a dwarf in Thor.
Was he a dwarf, though?
Yeah, he was a dwarf, but the whole thing about kind of like the dwarves that live on this dwarf island were all like, they were massively tall, like giants, but they had dwarfism, kind of like, they looked like...
Okay, so little people proportionately, but massive.
Yeah,